my Doctor Who DVD collection.
Is Captain Jack Harkness the face of both?
Hello and welcome to WhoTube Gallifrey 02. In this video I'm going to be reviewing episode 6 of series 10 of Doctor Who Extremis, written by Stephen Moffat, and the first episode of the mid-series three-parter. And yes, we are already halfway through series 10 of Doctor Who. It's already gone so quick, and yeah, I can't believe how quick it's gone. And yes, what are my initial thoughts on this episode? So yeah, I did think this episode was a lot better than last week's episode, Oxygen. And yeah, it wasn't my favourite of the series. I thought it was going to be my favourite of the series, but no, it isn't sadly my favourite of the series. That would still have to be the pilot. It has been leader since the pilot aired, which is quite a long time now, 6 weeks running. And yeah, hasn't been beaten by one of the mid-series episodes yet. So yeah, still at the top. And yeah, Extremis is my third favourite of the series so far, and I would personally rate it a 7.5 out of 10, which I would say is very good in my opinion. And yeah, what is Extremis about? So yes, it's about these mysterious creatures, the monks, who want to invade Earth, and they have set up this virtual reality where they have copied everything on Earth, every single person, every single site, and they are basically practicing their invasion. And they have discovered this thing that Veritas, which is this scroll, and everyone who reads it dies. And yeah, they're practicing it in this virtual reality, so when they do it in the real world, yeah, everyone will die. And yeah, it was basically a build-up episode for episode 7 and 8. So yeah, it's kind of a prequel to that. And yeah, in this episode we finally found out what is in the vault, and it is Missy. And yeah, bit of a disappointment that it's Missy. I thought it was going to be someone a lot more mysterious, a lot more shocking, but no, it's just Missy in the vault, which was pretty obvious, as all along, ever since at the end of Thin Ice, there was knocking from the other side of the vault door. Everyone instantly thought it was either the Master or Missy, pretty much the same person. But are they the same person? I'm debating whether they are. And yes, it turns out that the Doctor took an oath to guard the vault for 1,000 years. And yes, we learn more about how Nardole got to travel with the Doctor, as River Song sent Nardole to basically make sure the Doctor was behaving, and yeah, then they ended up travelling together and helped guard the vault. And yeah, that's how Nardole basically came to travel with the Doctor, which is good. As yeah, and I really liked it in this episode that it took place in 2 different time zones. A few hundred years ago, or whatever, I don't know how many hundreds of years ago it was when the Doctor first put Missy in the vault, and the present day. Well, kind of the present day. And yeah, pretty much a lot of this episode wasn't real. It was basically just a practice invasion for the next 2 stories, which is something different. They've never done something like that before. They've never really done a build-up story like this before. And yeah, I do think Missy will be out of the vault for the finale, as the vault hasn't opened yet, but she is in the finale, so I do think that the vault will be unlocked for the finale and she'll get out. And yeah, I think the finale is where John Sim's in it as well. And yeah, I did think for a moment that John Sim was going to be in this episode when the Doctor confronted that hooded creature, but then it turned out to be Nardole, which was a bit amusing. And yeah, in this episode there were some amusing moments, especially when the Pope walked in on Bill and her date. That was really funny, that scene, as they were both really shocked by the Pope. The Doctor continued to be blind in this story. Well, he wasn't blind, but he was kind of blind. Well, he was blind in the virtual reality, and he was blind in the actual reality. And yeah, first ever story set in a virtual reality, which I found very good indeed. They've never set a story in a virtual reality before. Every story has been in the real world. So yes, something very different in this episode, very unique. but there are some negatives. I did think this episode was a little bit complicated, and yeah, some elements of the story weren't at the best, and I think how the episode was put together was a little bit flimsy, especially the transition between the scenes. They weren't done very well in my opinion. But yeah, thought the monks were brilliant in this episode, very well detailed creatures. I hope we're going to learn a lot more about them in the next 2 episodes, as they are going to be in the next 2 episodes. Wonder what they are, what are they, and yes, do they have the force? Is they have the ability to turn on one of those gas lamps? And yeah, my theory about Nardal being Snoke isn't so obscure now. It could actually be a proper thing, but it is still extremely unlikely. But yes, I do think Nardal is holding a great secret, as he is just really mysterious. There is something wrong with Nardal, and yeah, what could it be? So yeah, how is this going to link in to the next episodes? So yeah, in this virtual reality, there was a virtual reality of the Doctor, and he basically recorded all the events of what the monks wanted to do, and then he sent the fake Doctor, emailed the Veritas and all the events of the monks, what they wanted to do, to the real Doctor through an email Extremis. So yeah, links in very nicely for the next 2-part story. And yeah, great way to open a 3-parter. They've never done a 3-parter before, apart from Utopia, The Sound of Drums, and Last of the Time Lords. I think it's going to be very much like that. Just 3 different stories, all linked together in one. And yes, what will I think of the next episode? The Pyramid at the End of the World. It looks very good indeed, and I think I'm going to enjoy it a lot more than this episode, as the scenery looks amazing, and yeah, looks brilliant. But yeah, Donald Trump isn't the president in this episode, as Bill walked in when the Doctor was in the Oval Office, and it wasn't Donald Trump, it was someone with brown hair. And yeah, this really annoyed me, as in one of the class novels, it did say that Donald Trump was the president. And yeah, the thing which the monks made, which was a mirror image of the real world, it was meant to be exactly, but yeah, doesn't make sense and continuity error there. So yeah, maybe they made a mistake. So yeah, please let me know in the comments below what you thought of this episode, and until the next time, just let me get my sonic screwdriver. Goodbye!